All right, American University assistant coach Joey Dance. So, Joey, each of the last 2 years, American University's had a national qualifier at 133 pounds. Um, you're coaching the entire team. You're working with everybody, but I'm sure you have the most hands-on work with the lightweights. So I'm sure that you have some sort of pride in the fact that these guys are probably out wrestling their seeds at the EIWA championships and earning a trip to nationals. These guys that you're working with closely every day.
Yeah. I feel like with those guys, I mean, they just had the right goals. And so I remember them early on, and this is obviously, I mean, everyone knows Max Fleet and then Jack Maida. Their goals coming in were to be NCAA All-Americas. And so when you can have those type of goals coming in, you know that you can do something special with that type of talent. And so obviously spend a lot of time with them, do a lot of individuals, but it's not all me. Coach Borelli obviously was a lightweight guy himself, and so he understands what's needed at those weight classes as well. And so we have a good staff all around that help mold those guys to get to that point. It's not just the lightweight staff that did that. And so we have a lot of great talent on the coaching staff, and then a lot of great guys in the room around those weight classes too that help mold those guys to do what they did.
All right, so recruiting. I'm not going to mention specific names, but for instance, there's 4 guys in the class of 2025 that have committed, that have been nationally ranked one time or another. Something kind of subtle that I look at when I'm following the recruiting game is seeing, these guys are committing to you like 2 years ahead of time, and to me, that's a very healthy thing for a program. They're buying into the long-term vision of the head coach and the assistant coaches and where the program's headed. If they think there's something massively wrong, it's a bad situation, they're not going to get into it 2 years ahead of time. So it seems like there's a lot of positivity on the recruiting trail from you guys. Is that what you're hearing? Is that what you're experiencing when you're out there?
Yeah. I say for us, the biggest thing is relationships. And so, I mean, we get on these guys pretty early. We are able to identify the recruits that we want to go after pretty early on in the process. And so, once we identify those recruits, we get on them as soon as we can. And obviously, I mean, we do have. Obviously, the recruiting trail is going great for us. I think the biggest thing with that is just relationships. And so, I mean, we do a good job of evaluating what guys we want to start recruiting pretty early on in the process. And we really show that vision to them pretty early on, too. And so, we're able to really do a good job. And I think one of the biggest reasons too is we stay organized. And so a lot of credit goes to Alex Tirapelli, our associate head coach. We already have identified the guys that we want to go after. Really, I mean, even the year before. And so we know what guys we want to call on June 15th on that day. And we definitely recruit very hard once that day hits. And so I'd say that's really our key process. And then, I mean, when you're in Washington, D.C., in the nation's capital, I mean, it's really easy to sell this place, and sometimes it's hard to get kids on campus originally because there's this notion of DC to where it's a city school, but really, I mean, we're in the DC suburbs, and so it's a lot of greenery, a lot of great things around the area. We can schedule an official visit 50 different ways. If you come to campus, if you want to be in the city, you can be in the city. If you want to go out and fish or hunt, you can drive down the road and do that as well too. And so I think that's what makes this so unique. The combo of wrestling to academics to just location, I think it's really tough to beat when you're looking at any other school in the country.
And that kind of leads me where I wanted to go, and maybe this is actually your answer to my question. But you went to school at Virginia Tech, you mentioned, and you spent some time coaching at Davidson. So as you're accepting this job, as you're thinking about it, what are some misconceptions, or what are some things that you learned once you actually got here? Some things that surprised you.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm originally from King William, Virginia, and so very rural part of Virginia. I grew up on a farm, had cows, chickens, and all that good stuff too. Had a motocross track in the backyard, and so I mean, I lived in the country. And so when thinking about American University, I mean, my first thought was, oh, it's going to be in the middle of the city, a lot of DC traffic. It's going to be mixed in with a bunch of the DC hoopla, and so it's like how can we? And so like when I'm going like that whole rewinding and thinking about like why would I want to come to American University to coach? One, the history of wrestling here runs really deep, and then also too, it's like when I came to visit when Jason and Alex were here, coming to visit is like thinking how could I sell this place to recruits? How could I get them on campus? And so walking around campus for the first time, I was blown away with, I mean, you walked it today. It's a lot more laid back than you would expect being a private school in DC. You're away from the touristy thing. When you think about like coming to Washington D.C. and going to the National Mall and stuff like that, you would never come across American University. And so, if you're looking for a city school that, well, a quote unquote city school that has more of the best of both worlds, where if you want to experience the city, you can drive 10 minutes from American University, get to the city, or if you want to experience the outdoors life, you can do that as well too. And so, just really, when I'm making calls to kids, I mean that's a lot of how the first conversation goes is really stopping that notion that we're just a city school when we're very different.
All right, and you've been here for a few years now. Jason Borrelli, Alex Tierpelli, these are real veterans of the coaching game. Been doing it for a long time, and maybe it's too long to list here. But what are some things that you've learned from these guys? Working alongside them for a few years now.
Yeah, no, I've had the privilege of working with a lot of great coaches. I mean, whether that was from Virginia Tech with Dresser and seeing the way he does things, going to Northwestern for a little bit as well, working with Storniolo, then going to Davidson and working with a guy like Andy Lozier too, and all had very different outlooks on wrestling, which I think helped mold it's helped molded me as to the coach that I am today. And when I got here to AU, I had coached at the Division I level for a little while, not too long. But when you're around two guys, well, Alex was actually a head coach in his own right at Penn University for 3 years, and obviously Jason for 13 years at Stanford. And so when you have the chance to coach with that high level of staff, I mean, you got to jump at that opportunity. And so when I was at Davidson and Jason gave me the call, I knew it was something I was interested in right away. And since I've been here, I mean, they're honestly my best friends. And so they're guys that I hang out with outside of the office too. And I think the biggest thing when you're looking to do any profession is you want to be excited to go to work. And I can tell you, I'm excited to go to work every single morning to work with these guys. And so the relationship, I think, when you're thinking about going, and this is kind of a little bit of a recruiting pitch too, is like, how is the relationship with the coaching staff? I can tell you this: I've never been happier with where I'm at and where I'm looking to obviously raise my family here down the road too. My wife is in medical school right now, and she's looking to go to GW for residency down the road. Obviously, that's still a long process for her, but we're looking to really plant our feet here, and a lot of it is because of those two guys out there, Jason Borrelli and Alex Tierpelli.
Nice. So looking back at your career, you kind of touched on this a little bit. You were All-American as a freshman, and from that point on, you were just always kind of a contender, at the top of 125. But people probably don't realize, unless you really look that freshman year, if you look back now, there's probably guys that you'd be surprised that you took losses to. And, I think you were at a 16th seed at NCAAs that year. So I feel like that probably helps you relate to a lot of these wrestlers. Coming in, you were a true freshman, highly ranked, and, you're probably taking losses you didn't think you should be taking. How, especially as that year kind of molded you as a coach and mentor?
Yeah. There's ups and downs that go through this sport. I mean, it's definitely a unique one, and that's why I love it so much too. And so, I mean, when you're making that transition from high school to college, I mean, the toughest transition really is, one is organization, is staying organized, keeping your ducks in a row, and then obviously on the other aspect of things too. I mean, besides mindset and the way you approach the sport, dieting the right way and doing those things outside of actually being on the mat. There's a lot of things you have to make sure that you're doing correctly. And so for me, I was a little bit of a knucklehead my freshman year at Virginia Tech during that first stretch, not really knowing the right way to diet. Obviously, when you go in high school, you can maybe cut corners a little bit just because you're a young kid and you can get away with it. But once you get older, there's a lot of things you have to learn about nutrition, calorie intake, and a lot of things that go into fueling your body the right way. And so I say that was the biggest thing for me my freshman year, and then also just a mindset shift and knowing that I belonged at that level and knowing that I was ready to go and do great things. And so sometimes when we get in these young guys, just realizing that you're here for a reason. We recruited you here for a reason. And so believing in yourself is definitely one of the biggest key factors when you're going in as a young freshman. And so I think that was the thing that probably propelled me to do well later on in that year. And again, taking some losses and going through those ups and downs is good for you. It's good for your growth. And I think when I think back on my career, the losses that I took, maybe the unsuccessful NCAA seasons that I had, with my sophomore and junior year not placing, but being highly seeded or highly ranked throughout the entire season and beating national champions before. You're going to go through ups and downs, but I mean, it's going to help mold you into a better person. And so, I mean, I could think back on a ton of losses that I've had that if I didn't have those, I'm not sure if I would be the same person that I am today. And so I'm thankful for every single piece of it.
And in one of those 2016, it had to be kind of a bittersweet experience for you because you mentioned you beat the eventual national champion that year and you didn't place at nationals, but as a team, Virginia Tech gets fourth place, gets a team trophy. They haven't done it before. They haven't done it since. Finish ahead of Iowa. Just kind of go through that.
Yeah.
After tournament.
Yeah, no, that was definitely it was a first for me to have that happen to me, especially in a team setting, to where I didn't get what I wanted, but the team did really well. And so that's something that really excited to me. And it kind of made me take a step back from the sport a little bit too, and think about how awesome wrestling is as a whole. And so like you hear a lot that wrestling is an individual sport. It is when you're out there on the mat, but there's something bigger. It's bigger than Joey Dance. It's bigger than just one name. And so that's what we try to do with our guys here. And so I mean, we do it as a family. And so I think that's like where you can take a step back and really appreciate all the hard work that you put in with your brothers. And so that's something that we really hit home here with our guys is we don't want to run this place like a business. We want a family. And that's what we had at Virginia Tech that year is we had a family.
And talking about that Virginia Tech, I didn't really even put it together until I was getting ready for this, looking at those lineups, and then today, like a lot of those teammates of yours are successful D1 coaches now.
Yeah.
You have Bracetta right up the road at Maryland, and Ty Walls and Jared Ha and McFadden, and probably maybe leaving out somebody, but. What was it about, that system, or was it just kind of the special group of guys that kind of bred that?
Yeah. We had a gritty group of guys, and so, I mean, we competed in everything. And then if you slacked off, we had teammates on there that they would let you know. Even the guys that maybe weren't highly recruited, we just had tough individuals on that team, and we held everyone accountable. And I think that was the biggest thing. And so that's something where we're moving forward with our team right now here at AU. It's like we have guys on this team that are seasoned now. We're going on our fourth year, and so we have a lot of older guys that have that leadership and those leadership skills to hold everyone accountable. And so I'd say that's what made that team so great is we competed at everything, no matter what it was. We played Monopoly the night before. I mean, we had people at each other's throats at the Monopoly table. And so that's the type of environment you need. You need to be competitive in every aspect of your team and your family.
And so bringing it back to AU, so who are some guys that we should look out for? I know we're in the summer. We still have a lot of time before the actual season starts. Who are some guys that we should look out for as the season comes up?
Yeah, and I'll start with the young guys. And so obviously, this class is 2024. We have some good guys coming in. Really the two that are standing out for me right now, they're taking summer classes on campus. JJ Peace and Hunter Hummer, they're doing a great job. They haven't missed any practices yet. And summer is completely optional. And so, these guys are here putting in a ton of work from the summer. They've definitely impressed us since they've been here. JJ probably at 125, and then Hunter Homan is going to be anywhere from 65 to 74, probably end up at 74. And we've seen a lot of good stuff out of them since they've been here. And then going up into our starting lineup right now, guys that already have been on the team previously. Guys like Max Fleet. He's put in a ton of work, and he's still. He hasn't stopped since NCAA Championship has ended, and he's extremely hungry. He went 0-2 at the NCAA Championships, and that's not something that he was looking for. His goal this year was to be on the podium, and so and as high up on that podium as possibly could have been. And so he's got a big chip on his shoulder. He's done a great job during the summer. Jack Maida obviously didn't get anywhere near what he wanted to last season. He was ranked as high as I want to say 11th or 11th or 12th in the country last season. So he's definitely got a massive chip on his shoulder, and he'll be going up at 33 this year as well too. Some other guys that I can think of too, Will Jarrell, our heavyweight. He was the first alternate, and so you can imagine being at the NCAA Championships. There's not many heavyweights that miss weight, and so we knew it was going to be a tough task to get him from first alternate to the tournament. But he approached it the right way. He was ready to go if it was need be at the NCAA Championships, and then once it ended, he hasn't stopped. He's putting in 3 days, almost at least 4 or 5 times a week, and he's put on a lot of size, put on a lot of mass. and he is the team leader. I mean, he holds everyone accountable. Sometimes even the coach is accountable too. And so I mean, he's impressed us in many different ways, and he's going to do a great job. Another guy I can think of too, who I really believe is going to have a great season, is Caleb Campos. Caleb Campos, he's originally from North Carolina. We got him late in the 2023 class, and since he's been here, he has been nothing but impressive on the mat. I mean, he works extremely hard. Him and another guy I can think of too, Raymond Lopez, they came in that class together. Raymond Lopez is another guy at 33 or /41 for us that we'll have. And both those two guys, I'd say they're probably, between Will Jarrell and those two, they're probably the hardest working guys on the team. They do everything right when it comes to preparing yourself and getting ready to roll. And I mean, Caleb Campos, he had an awesome redshirt year last year too. He beat some guys that were in the national tournament. I want to say he only took maybe 2 losses during that redshirt year, and those 2 losses were to guys like Josh Barr and some other kids as well too. Or one other loss that he had, I can't think of the name. But he's a guy that I'd be shocked if we didn't see him make a good run at the NCAA championships. He's got a lot of talent. And there's probably more guys in there that I'm missing too. We got young guys like Caden Milheim, who's chomping at the bit. I mean, he had a really close match last year with Brayton Lee. And so, I mean, he's shown signs of greatness. And there's some other guys in there too that I'm probably missing out on. But we're going to have a really solid lineup up and down, and especially dual meet wise too. We're going to be really strong.
All right, so I'm going to wrap it up with maybe the most controversial question. I know that you like golf. Yeah, actually, Joey ended up at a golf course with my dad maybe a year ago now, just kind of out of the blue randomly. So, who's the best golfer on the coaching staff?
Best golfer on the coaching staff? I'll have to give it to Jason Borelli. And so when he was out at Stanford, he would play every single morning on their course over there. And actually, the Stanford University golf course is known as the nicest golf course out of all college campuses. And so he got to play on that every single morning. He told me he would do 9 holes every single morning at Stanford. And so, I mean, he's put in a lot of work on the golf course. And that was kind of like his outlet to get away from wrestling. So I'd say Jason. Right now, I'm taking a little bit of a break from golf. I'm a little bit burnt out with it. It's beating me up a little bit. And I think that's what I love about it, too, though. I can relate golf to wrestling in different ways, too. It's definitely a mental game, but I love it, and I definitely enjoy it. But I'll have to give at least right now, I'll give the title to Jason.
All right, no offense, but that was going to be my guess, but I don't know. So, all right, wrapping it up, is there anything that we haven't hit on that you want people to know about American University, yourself, the school, anything?
No, we got a lot of great things coming. Obviously, this brand new facility is going to be huge. I mean, $45 million project. I mean, when you think about support for a wrestling program, I can't think of a better way than saying we have a brand new $45 million project coming to campus. And so that's something I think that shows how much everyone around here cares about American University Wrestling and seeing it succeed. I mean, we have support all the way from the top to the bottom. And so we're excited. So go Eagles.